Hello everybody, welcome to Sonic Talk episode 665. That's right folks, it's 666 next week. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for that. I'm going to have to think of something. So any suggestions in the chat room, obviously not too outrageous or demonic, I will be happy to consider them. There's Discord, IRC, we got IRC back this week, and also YouTube Live. Of course, this is the Sonic Talk podcast. We talk about all things to do with music technology, music production, electronic instruments, acoustic instruments, software, hardware, studio, live performing, all of that kind of stuff. And I just want to say welcome to everybody and thank you for joining us. In fact, if you are watching this, you probably, maybe you know about the audio version. We're also available on Alexa, Stitcher, Google, iTunes, Spotify as well, so you can listen to the audio version. It's about an hour long. We want to whip through a few topics and chat to everybody. Also want to encourage you to maybe consider supporting us on Patreon. In fact, I posted a review of the new Arturia Pigments 3 version 3 update, and I've put some patches up there on Patreon on both tiers, so you can grab those. Just the bank of 10, but it's so easy to do. So if you fancy supporting us, there's lots of exclusive content there, not just early content. It's stuff you can't see anywhere else, even though we still post all of our stuff regularly on YouTube as well. But if you feel the need, please do join us. And I want to say, well, was there anything else I wanted to cover? Let's have a look. I'm trying to remember now. I got ahead of myself. No, I think that's it. I think that's the housekeeping done. Oh, yes, of course, if you like what you see, please do subscribe, ring the bell. Loads of stuff coming up. I was saying in the pre-show on Twitch, because we do the pre-show on Twitch, that we've got a review of the Pro Tools / Avid Carbon interface. Very big special, long special on that with Steve Evans, who's got his Pro Studio and knows about this kind of stuff. Also, inserts with quite a lot of interviews with the people at Avid. So if you want to immerse yourself in Carbon, you can. Probably post that tomorrow. And of course, I posted the Arturia Pigments 3 review last week. No, Monday this week. What am I talking about? Hey, Rich. How you doing? Rich there over in Connecticut, where he produces and engineers and performs all kinds of stuff. How are you, Rich? You well?
Yes, I'm well, thank you. Fancy meeting you here.
Yeah, well, 2 weeks in a row. It's astonishing, isn't it? It's just like getting on a roll there. You busy? Got stuff on? Exciting things?
I do. I'm busy and I have stuff on. Right now, what I have on is a plumber in the next room doing piping in the bathroom.
But, is that the piping that makes a sound in your house during the winter? Is it being denoised?
No. That's the baseboard heating. That's the water-based baseboard heating. But anyway, musically, I've got things on too.
Cool.
And they're advertising gigs now too, on top of all that. So
back to it. That'll be great. That'll be great, won't it, to be back in the flow of things. I certainly do hope so. Anyway, nice to see you, Rich. We've also got, let's see, where do we go? Let's go to Mr. Gaz Williams, who's there in his studio in Bristol. Music technologist, shiny shirt wearer, and hopefully performing sometime soon. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see.
Please.
How are you, Gaz? You well?
Yeah, really well, thank you very much. Shiny shirt. I bought this in LA, so I'm bringing a bit of LA glamour to the show today.
It does look like you could be wearing that. I think you possibly need some Ray-Bans to go with that, just to be absolutely on the safe side.
Do you know, I was going to put some on. I was going to put some aviators on, but I thought I'd get a bit too criticised for that. But
do you go for the fully flat mirrored ones or the slight curve? The flat ones have got a certain class to them, I think, but you have to be able to pull them off.
I just need extra big ones though, because I've got such a massive fat head, you see. So I need like big aviators. They only come in small sizes, it seems these days.
So you would probably. I'm sure we've talked about this before, but so you actually have to buy the knockoff ones because the aviators that they make, they don't make them in the size that will fit your countenance.
My high mass head. Yeah. I'm starting to regret just speed eating loads of peanut butter before coming on the show.
That is a big mistake, dude. That's that's like in a mouthful of cream crackers. Well, I might leave you to digest that while I move over to our final guest, Dominic Hawken, aka Mr. Wiggly, who is the maker of the very fine Incinerator plugin, his first plugin, which I think you might be giving away a few copies. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Well, you could talk about that a bit later.
or later?
Well,
we haven't really figured it
doesn't
out.
matter.
Yet,
I can talk about it. I can talk about it now. I haven't really figured it out. I mean, it's a desperate plea for Twitter followers, really. I've so
I like that
dressed
honesty.
up like a giveaway. Dressed up like a giveaway. No, I need some Twitter followers. I've set up a new Twitter account for the Mr. Wiggly stuff, which is at real Mr. Wiggly, at real Mr. Wiggly. And so just follow me and tweet me. I guess we have to make it like a competition. Tweet me how much the Incinerator plugin is, and it's all at mrwiggly.co.uk, and then I'll give away 3 in 3 days to anyone that's pick 3 from anyone that's followed me from here. I want to make sure it's Sonicstate followers rather than random followers. Hence, you'll have to tell me how much it is. Otherwise, I'd make it even easier. But yeah, that would be cool.
Crafty.
Yeah, so follow me, and hopefully, I think I've got 10 subscribers, most of whom is like my mum and the next door neighbour and my daughter and stuff at the moment. So if we can get it up to about 20.
10, I can see 10. Let's see. Let's have a look. Have we got any more? No. It's not working. So still at 10.
Seriously, the odds of winning one of these is pretty high at the moment. So get right in there and we'll see how popular it is.
Yeah, I do hope so. Yes, so head over to the real Mr. Wiggly at Twitter. We'll see if we can get your codes. Nice one. Anyway,
we'll check it at the end of the show and just see.
Yeah, let's see if it's been effective. 15. Oh God, I hope so, because otherwise we'll probably lose all our existing, sponsors.
just forget by the time you get to the end if it's not up to something sensible. Just in case anyone doesn't know it yet, mrwiggly.co.uk. There's a plugin called the Incinerator. That's what we're talking about. So whiz up there and just follow me, and it'll be really cool. I'm sure I'll do more giveaways in the future.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. That's all good fun. What's been going on then? Let's have a look. We've got a few topics. What's the first one? Let's start with number one. Why ever not? This is it almost seems impossible. It's a very lifestyle-y video. This one. It's basically pure piano e-instruments. We've done a couple of product presentations with them, and they make some really good sampled stuff. They don't say exactly what they sampled here. They're being a bit close, but it's essentially a gigabyte sampled grand piano that will work on iOS 13, on your iPad, or even on your phone. Which, I mean, I put this in here because I just thought that just seems like such a ridiculous concept based on where we were even maybe 5 years ago with technology. So this is she's doing the session on her iPad here because a friend just texted her, so now it sounds okay, and I think it does sound pretty good. Anyway, you get the picture. So the idea is buy pure piano and instantly your life will become better, and you'll have one of those beautiful daylight rooms and be able to play a night. And actually, because their e-instrument stuff is really good, actually. So I think it's like half price, $14.99. So it's pretty cheap. AUV3 and iOS as well. I'll come to you first, actually, Dom, because you've developed plugins. You might know, and you've developed on iOS.
Yeah.
It sounds
not at the same time yet, though. Actually, yeah, weirdly not at the same time. Juice is a platform that I've been using for the plugins on normal computers, and it does output iOS versions. So I've done native stuff on iOS. Anyway, I mean they are rapidly converging. So particularly iPads and Macs are just becoming the same thing, and I can't see
the new
iPhones. Yeah, exactly. iPhones won't be far behind, but pretty much you can develop this stuff and squirt out an iOS version and a Mac version and a PC, VST3 and so forth. I guess you've got to take a little bit more care about the amount of memory you're needing to run on Macs and iPhones, but it's getting really close. This thing sounds great. I mean, I was chatting to a friend last week about iPads producing on an iPad. Funny enough, we were saying about Gaz using iPads a lot and how brilliant it was, and how we couldn't quite get our heads around the concept. We're always ending up coming back to computers, and even the idea of kind of writing stuff was a little bit hard on the iPad. My example was like I can write stuff on the Deluge quite easily and kind of get carried away, and the iPad just for me doesn't quite do it. So I'd be all over this on the iPhone. I think it sounds lovely and it's a really great thing to have, except I probably wouldn't use it that much. It's quite frustrating, and I really want to be able to leap in and use the iPad for absolutely everything, because to be honest, I use an iPad or an iPhone 75% of the day for doing something, I think. and I listen to music a lot on it, and I play around with apps and stuff, but I haven't quite got into I always sit down in this chair to do pro music or even fun music or whatever it might be. But it sounds great, and I'm not dissing it in the slightest. I think it's a brilliant thing, and it's AUV3, so you can connect it to everything else.
It's funny, isn't it? I mean, because essentially, you know, to get the most out of something like this, you'd probably want a kind of full weighted keyboard, which is probably going to have a piano sound in it anyway. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, because playing it via, you know, either the onboard or a small MIDI interface might be, you know, might be less of a thing. So the portable, I don't know, Rich, you're a player. You know, I'm guessing, you know, I know you use
now and then.
I know you use like Roland stuff for live, just because of availability and whatnot. But it's an interesting idea.
The feel.
Obviously, you wouldn't
because
want a phone
of the feel. I like.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
of the feel. I like the way they feel. I have some good. Let's get away from how many people are actually gigging on iPads right now and get into. I haven't played this piano, but I find I like E-Instruments sample sets, and I've played those, and they sound great. And they offer this kind of same sort of morphing style interface that's sort of become very popular in a lot of ways for a lot of things. And I suspect this thing sounds really good. I have a couple in my iPad that also sound pretty good that I don't use, and I would love to have one of these too. And hopefully I'll get to use one of them one of these days. I have actually used iPad on the gig on very rare occasion to do certain very isolated things that I couldn't do on the gear that I had on the gig. So somebody does. And it's a nice product. I find it interesting that they sell sampled pianos with the effects section, through which you could put, you know, somebody's upright, and it would probably sound great too.
This has got Q-Verb, hasn't it? I think on it, as far as I know.
And it's kind of like the same way they sell cooking appliances with the food. I mean, it's like it's hard to sell the other things. So if you just play a dry piano and you play a little Chopin on it, that goes by very quickly. But this gives you all of these morphing possibilities and creative avenues that you can explore with piano sounds. So I get it, and I'm cool with it, but I just think it's interesting, and I notice it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, fortunately for us, we have Gaz as well, who I believe because you did a video, didn't you, recently on it, which I haven't had the chance to check out, but it was like it was a sponsored thing, but you were still raving about it anyway. This is. So what do you make of it?
So thank you for mentioning it was spot. Yeah, they wanted me to do something. So clearly got a bias there. But I mean, I was really happy to do that because it is fabulous. You know, I mean, I think just the basic piano is beautiful, but the morph pad means you can really very easily turn it into something kind of a lot more kind of creative, really, which is
Let me see if I can get the
fun.
window open. Ooh. I'm just trying to bring the website up. Yeah.
What I was going to say, but I mean, the challenge though is how do you get it out of the piano? And something which is the constant rage I've got is the removal of the headphone jack. Really scuppers iPhones and iPads as a really nice simple way of hosting an instrument. There's plenty of ways to do it. In the video that I made, I was showing it being used with these things, which are the Yamaha BTO ones, Bluetooth. But oops, these are okay. These are okay, but they're not great. I got to be honest. Like in the most, it's fine, but you will occasionally like a note will drop out, and I was doing some quite severe testing, using the Arturia key step and playing really fast arpeggiated notes and stuff. So that's not particularly typical piano playing, but they could definitely force your Bluetooth to kind of miss a few notes there. So it's okay. It's just one of those frustrating things that, like, you know, if you connect your phone up to your little MIDI keyboard, where do you get your audio from? You know, because there's no headphone jack. So it is a bit of a frustrating thing. However, one of the things that's really nice about this piano is clearly, you know, if you've got this great instrument in your pocket at all times. So That does have
Just need the 88 key keyboard.
It just needs that in the other pocket.
In the other
And
pocket.
it's one hell of a pocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
However,
Well, there's a case for the keyboard tie there, isn't there? Because then if it was actually a real working Bluetooth MIDI keyboard tie, then you could...
MIDI keyboard tie! Nick, you are onto it!
Man, I'm just full of great ideas, yeah. I think we need that, don't we? The MIDI keyboard tie, yeah. You're right,
Maybe
actually.
you could even slot the phone up the inside of the tie as well, like make it a phone holder all combined in one.
We're on a roll. We're on a roll. I think we've solved one of the world's biggest problems here. Yeah.
but I mean, just in general, I think, it's a half price until the 1st of June, I think, maybe. And I think if you are an iPhone or iPad user and you do make music with those, I think it's a no-brainer. In my opinion, I think it's the best piano thus released on iOS. I mean, the Ivory on Module is really good, but I just feel that this one just feels just a little bit more real. And when you move around the Morph Pad, there's certain sweet spots. Like if you come down south on the Morph Pad, then you get that intimate piano, which has got a lot of the kind of key release noises and that sort of thing, which lends a nice kind of realism to it. Sweep north and it goes into cinematic and you get this really nice reverb. Yeah, so the reverb is provided by Zynaptic, who know a thing or two about reverb.
They do.
Yeah.
And again, just some
quality.
Because I mean, I suppose the thing is because it needs iOS 13, you're going to be limited probably to only the models just about that don't have headphones because they're the later chips. So it's a bit of a I can understand what the conundrum there. It's a little bit.
But in the video that we made, though, we ran it on an iPhone 6 and it ran really nicely on an iPhone 6.
Okay.
So
wow.
So it can run on sort of fairly old. So long as obviously the iOS is capable of running a more recent iOS.
I'm just going to post the URL of the video in the chat room.
Please do, yeah.
There we go. Adventures in Pure Rats. Copy link address. Let's put that there.
The best bit about my video is I got my friend Helen Stanley, from a band Asteroid Deluxe and Timberlows. She got her to come in and play because she can actually play as opposed to me who pretends to play. So
cool.
So
well, check it out.
Bring in cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so that's if you go to E-Instruments, it's all there. And check it out if you want to see that. I mean, you do need a gig free, but most people are going for. I mean, I think actually the memory sizes in most sort of more current iOS devices are. At least 32, 64. So you might have to ditch a few of your favourite tunes to get it on there, or some of your kids' videos, some of your memories, But what price piano, eh? Okay, so we'll just do a quick hello from our friends over at Cobalt. Modal Electronics, of course. Wanted to let you know about the Cobalt H, which I reviewed quite recently. In fact, they got the Sculpt SE out this week as well. 8-voice extended virtual analog synth, innovative oscillator with 34 algorithms, morphable 4-pole ladder filter, 29 endless encoders, internal sequencer and arpeggiator, good MPE support for expression, modal app for Mac, Windows, Android and VST3 AU as well. If you want to find out more, head over to bit.ly/get_modal and you can find out more about the whole thing. And also, yes, do check out the Sculpt SE because they brought a new version out, which is a little bit more. Actually, I've got the SE, the old Sculpt here. I think I can unplug that. Oh, yeah, there we go. So they made it black and white keys and made it all a bit more visual because the thing about this one is that it's all on a slant, so they've sorted all of that out so it makes it a little bit easier to use. Okay, here we go. Now this, I don't normally get excited about these sort of things, and I'm not sure how excited I am, but if I were to be, this would be the one. If I were into this is called VideoSync, and it's from Showsync version 1. It's a video plugin which we've seen Max for Live stuff before. There are lots of performance video things. This works directly within Ableton Live. Obviously you need latest versions, I believe, and it's OS X only, but from what I can see from the demos, it's actually got proper audio sync, because I've seen these things and they tend to, it's a bit like watching ballet where you can't quite figure out whether the dancers are in time. They're sort of more or less but not quite, whereas this seems really much more spot on, and you can fire out you've got separate instruments so that you can actually create certain textures and things by instances on tracks. It's a really interesting and performative thing, particularly with the more modern laptops, which are going to have a bit more juice and a bit more GPU. You could probably run your entire show on this with an HDMI out. Now, I'm not pretending that any of us perhaps are so into doing live visuals. I don't know, Rich, do you fancy running the chic visual projections while you're playing the piano from Ableton Live? I know you don't use Ableton Live in Need of the Day, but I'm just being a bit flippant there.
I first of all have had Ableton Live open on stage at various times. First of all, never to play pre-sequenced material, but to use as a sort of a triggerable sampler. So it's not as far-fetched as you think. But as a matter of fact, the guy who does handle our visual direction, who is absolutely brilliant, and I could go on for days, but that's not what this is about. I hit him up immediately this morning when I saw this thing, because I at least want him to get a look at it. I don't know. There's a whole world out there that those guys operate in, kind of like the world you operate in running this podcast, Nick, except it's completely video based. And it involves softwares that I'm not really conversant in and things that I don't necessarily know exist. So I don't know where this falls in the existing litany of what's out there. But when I looked at this demo, I was immediately intrigued and I wanted him to see it. So there's that. No, I'm not going to be running it, but there's that.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think the thing is, because it's so linked to the musical structure of whatever it is. I mean, I'm not suggesting that perhaps you'd run your full session and the video at the same thing. You might sync, but you can think about things in musical terms and sort of bars and song sections, which I think for really sort of almost literal lighting and video stuff it's got to be a real positive. I don't know, Dom. I'm guessing because you do snuggle sounds. I imagine if you had, something like this that also kind of dealt with the visual. I think it could be pretty good. I mean, for live streams,
really amazing. I mean, like Rich says, this is a whole new genre, isn't it? So we may have a danger of coming across as very amateur video production people, live video production people, those damn musicians telling us how to do our video kind of thing. But the idea of having it set out like something, like a track, I've always thought that there's a real common thing between pictures and video and audio. So for example, if you took a Photoshop plugin that blurs an image and applied it to audio, it would make the audio less trebly. It would take it off. The algorithms are kind of very, very intrinsically linked. And the idea of being able to fire not just triggers off from, say, Ableton or a MIDI thing that says, okay, flash that light over there, to be able to have a stream of visuals going on is brilliant, because you can also do some random stuff and all sorts of stuff. So the self-generating, very kind of amateurish, I'm sure, from the perspective of a real live engineer, but self-generating ambient style video would seem to be an obvious use for this kind of stuff. And I love that idea that it can all be held under one kind of interface. It's a really, really nice touch. What I first thought when I saw it was like, oh, I can do my sound to video in Ableton rather than Logic or Pro Tools or whatever a lot easier now. I can sync in a video, and then I suddenly realized it was that plus where you can actually do video mixing. On this one though, Gaz is our man again, because he did I can't remember what the name of the software was, but he did this whole thing on this. Was it Resolute? Yeah. So he really is the guy, because that was a MIDI controlled thing, and probably this is what that should have been for Gaz, I think. But so see what he has to say.
I think the thing about this is it just looks very. I like the idea that it just seems very responsive. I mean, obviously there are going to be minimum system requirements and whatnot, but I know, Gaz, because you were experimenting with Resolute, particularly. Were you using it on the sort of on the screen behind you? I mean, it seems like perhaps one thing too many to remember while you're running a live stream and presenting it, but I'm not quite as far along the line as I'd hoped to be by now. But I mean, that's Resolute, which is a standalone piece of software. But what's good about Resolute is that it has full MIDI kind of sync in there, and you can, run MIDI into it. You can sort of clock it, and you can obviously use MIDI controllers for manipulating the visuals, which is a load of fun. I'm working on a video project at the moment with it, so I'm trying to
immerse myself more with it. However, I was looking at this and thinking, cool, yeah, the fact it runs inside of Ableton and with all of the clip launching, because Resolume works like a kind of Ableton style thing with clip launching the visuals.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It sort of feels
Yeah.
a bit like that there's a level of disconnect. The fact that it is on the same boundaries as your arrangement just makes it immediately more, accessible, I think.
It's also interesting that out of the door, this is running on M1 Max natively. Obviously, the big Apple announcement, which I don't know if you're planning on talking about today, the new iMacs and stuff. We're seeing more of these M1s and also M1s in iPads as well. So seeing that this runs native on M1 then is interesting, because my first thought when I was seeing this was just how much extra processor load it was going to put onto Ableton if you're already running lots of VSTs or AUs or whatever. Then this is video typically kind of brings machines to their knees. So,
well, I suppose the thing about this is it's going to be focusing on the GPU cores, which are probably less of what Ableton would be using so much. I mean, you would need RAM and stuff. So I don't know whether or not that would be the case. I mean, I think it could be, but I'm not sure how much different. I mean, and also, as we know, I think even since Ableton 10, the sort of integration at a kind of engine level with Max is way more efficient than it used to be. So those kind of considerations are slightly less of a concern, perhaps.
Yes, and also you can network it, can't you, as well? So you could be running it inside of Ableton, but getting all of the processing done on another device, on another machine as well. So I'd imagine that's how it would be used for a lot of professional applications. But yeah, exciting stuff. I'd definitely like to try it out. Although I'm making headway into Resolooms, I wouldn't want to kind of...
Yeah, but you need to run that. I suppose you'd be running that on a separate machine, wouldn't you? Whereas this, you might be able to get away with. If you've got enough M1 grunt, you might be able to run them together. Or I guess you could run two via Ableton Link, and that might...
Yeah.
Well, Resolume isn't cheap.
No,
sorry to interrupt. Yeah, it's a pretty hefty thing. Now, so if you've already made that investment in Ableton, this is definitely a very big plus point about how about getting involved with this one. I think. I mean, Resolume does look amazing, but I don't know. There's something really nice and funky about having the whole thing just built into Ableton, which is very live oriented and very easy to use in that respect. It just seems a natural extension.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see. Oh no, that's not it. That's what I want here. I think this is. I think it's about 170 quid. 170 quid. It looks like.
Okay.
I'm gonna switch me. I've got my overhead camera, which I just switched to. Go on. There we go.
I know that warning.
Yes, we know that one. I thought I'd throw that up there. Cannot play memory card, but I thought I'd put it in there. Actually, I haven't got the I haven't dialed in the exposure or anything. Damn, I was too far away there. Just a quick update there, Dom. By the way, we're up to 40 followers now, so we've
seriously, that's it.
We've quadrupled.
Wow,
the thing. So there we
that
go.
is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm well chuffed.
Well done, live
really
listeners.
popular.
We feel very few. Eh?
So you have a 1 in
1%
3 3/4 chance of winning at the moment. So that's in fact, sorry, 1 in 12 and a half chance of winning, which is very good odds. Having worked a little bit in the gambling industry, I'd back that one. So yeah, cool.
1 in
Excellent
12.
stuff.
Okay, fair enough. That's good news. Okay, what was next then? Let's have a look. Vid 2, Vid 3. This is more of a business story, but this is kind of, I don't know if anybody's been following, but there's been quite a lot of ramifications from the audio industry recently, particularly when we're talking about new audio interfaces coming out and sort of delays and things, and you might wonder why. Well, actually, the reason is, one of the reasons is there was a massive fire in Japanese factory, the AKM, which are the people who make kind of like not the majority, well, probably the majority of affordable audio interface D2As and A to Ds. So the capacity was greatly reduced. I don't think there were. I think it was mostly material damage. I don't think there was a great, if any, loss of life. At least I hope not, because I don't want to make light of it, obviously. But that combined with obviously world COVID situation and what has resulted in this kind of global shortage of DSP. video cards as well, and also, but mainly audio converters, which is applied to the hi-fi industry, the kind of music industry, all of it. And it's really kind of made a big difference. It's throwing all sorts of people out. And I think part of the thing is it's one of these single point of failure concepts, because, I mean, obviously they seem to be choosing the main thing. I mean, I don't know whether anybody's ever done a kind of which sound, because there's Burl Brown, there's AKM, there's all sorts of different sort of A to Ds and D to As. I'll come to you first, Rich, because you probably might be one of those people who may have heard the difference between some of these audio converters. But AKM, you typically find in stuff like Focusrite and mid to high end stuff. It's not it's not low grade things, but it just seems like a terrible set of circumstances that made a difference.
Certainly does. Yeah, I'm on right now.
Yeah, you are.
Interesting that it more directly seems to affect home entertainment gear than. They in the article, they seem to suggest that it has more to do with home entertainment gear and home theater and that sort of thing.
Wireless Bluetooth chipsets as well, yeah.
And the interfacing of those things. But in any case, I'm sure it's going to put some hardship on that industry and cause people to make some design decisions based on the likelihood they're going to be seeing those anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I was wondering whether or not we might start seeing a kind of move back towards discrete vacuum tubes and transistors, because don't they say that there's actually there have been storylines in various kind of those kind of disaster movies where everything is taken out by nuclear war or whatever it may be, and the only things that still work are tubes, and so that that's why all of the kind of I don't know whether that's true.
It's
Dom,
true.
Is it true? It is true. Excellent. I'm glad to hear.
It's pretty much true. Yeah, I mean, you can still make crystal radios out of a bit of crystal stone and a tiny little wire. So I guess it probably would be true. I mean, I think they're talking about the electromagnetic pulse, where you drop a bunch of energy on stuff and it just takes out all the chips and stuff. And very, very strangely, I did own a nuclear bunker briefly, for quite a long time actually, which we bought off, as you do, we bought off the MIDI. We're talking, I was 22, I think. And we had this idea of secure internet hosting, and now nuclear bunkers around the world are actually reused to do mostly internet hosting. But we managed to buy one of these things off of the MOD in working order, and we put together the very first nuclear bunker-based secure hosting facility, which is still in existence. And I think the bunker.net's still going today. We sold it after a while. But yeah, it's incredible to look at.
Every time I talk, what? Wow. Okay.
That's amazing.
I
know, it's crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. We were, this is not about music, I'm afraid. We were employed to be anti-hackers in the very early days of the internet. So we were working for, I guess I could say it now because it's a long time ago. We were working for Virgin in Camden, where they had their sort of central office that catered infrastructure to all the Virgin operations. And they had a server room, which they put together a very early website. We were being employed to stop people hacking it, because there was an episode where someone had hacked one of their sites and replaced the front cover with a picture of the Spice Girls with funny heads stuck on. This is back in the day when it was a laugh, basically. No one was getting their credit cards stolen. They were just damaging their brand a bit. So we were working on this and we were getting paid really well. And the aircon failed in their server room. And so somebody left the back door open, which happened to go onto a canal towpath. And we realized that they were paying us to do all this stuff. You could just walk in and take the server out and just take it home and hack it to your heart's content. So we realized physical security was important. And then this thing came up for sale. Well, this thing came up for sale in the Telegraph. There was an article saying nuclear bunker for sale. And one thing led to another. We bought it. We had a sealed bid. And then, what are we going to do with it? And it's still going. And it was a brilliant kind of USP for being an absolutely fantastic hosting, because this thing was 17 acres above ground and 60,000 square foot below ground. It's like an office, 3-floor office building underground. And anyway, completely digress. They had EMP shielding within this thing. So they had a room which was completely surrounded by metal. The whole thing was concrete, but on massive rubber, so it would shake if it had got bombed. Wow. And inside it was designed to house over the horizon radar. So you'd have all these people sitting there looking at the round James Bondy screens, looking at radar radar to see if there was an incoming missile strike. And the idea was if they spot that missile strike, they would launch the warning and everything would kick off effectively. So they were the first kind of people that would see it. And so a lot of these devices were in shielding with inside there because they would have been one of the first targets, allegedly. So the next thing was they shut the doors and they would have to survive the incoming blast long enough to be able to kind of say where the threat was and all the rest of it. And these IMPO, I mean, they're massive, as big as my house, you know, in a completely shielded environment, all kind of locked down to a very strange feeling inside as well. Very, it smelled of, you know, that thunder smell.
Cordite.
Smell electricity, electricity on the air.
Whatever it's called.
Just weird. Just do you know what I mean? You can sort of smell the electricity a little bit, but yeah. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm going to write
have you got an anecdote to compete with that, or what's your opinion on the AKM the shortage?
How can you follow that? Incidentally, was that in Sandwich in Kent by any? It
was indeed in Sandwich in Kent. Yes, it was.
Okay,
that's that.
I applied. I got that. I got the plans for that. I applied for it. I was interested in it too. How interesting! I wonder if I still got them somewhere. So you ended up getting it. I was kind of. I was looking at it.
Wow. We didn't expect to. We didn't expect to, and like I said, one of the things was it was in working order, and it was costing about £1 million a year to maintain because there's three of everything. In that thing. There's three generator systems. It's all positive air pressure. It's all great. We need to do a different podcast on this, guys. Maybe I'll do an evening chatting about bunkers. But yes, it was the one in Sandwich. It was the first one.
How amazing!
I think it's brilliant that you went in to buy it as well. I think that is
amazing. What are the chances?
Making it a studio complex. How funny! Yeah. And I always wondered. I wondered what on earth had happened to it. I think one of the things
you could have called it No Natural Daylight Studios.
Right. It would have been awesome for parties and stuff, but they just didn't. Fit with the corporate kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
I wish I could say I also bid on a nuclear bunker. I feel left out of the conversation.
I can't believe it. Wow, that is amazing. I honestly, I've been wondering about what had happened to that place for years and years, and now, how about that?
Well, if I could just steer us back towards the topic in hand. Fascinating.
Can I? Yes. I mean, so that fire. When do we know when it happened? Is it?
It was end of October last year. No, it was end of October last year.
Yes. So this has affected, I think, Zoom quite a lot because I've got the little Zoom H8. Well, not little. There's the handheld recorder, and there's meant to be all these new microphone modules coming out for it, or different, and that's what part of the reason why I got it. But they've failed to make it to market, and so I started researching why, because they'd been advertised for a while. It was a fire, this big fire in Japan. So presumably, with it being converters, Zoom.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I did do a converter shootout a couple of years ago between three sets of converters, and I was astonished at how different the different converters sounded. It wasn't like a kind of question of like going, can I just hear a slight difference? It was like the difference was very noticeable. There were some AKMs, Cirrus,
Cirrus Logic,
Cirrus Logic ones, and the other ones. No, it wasn't. It'll come to me. It's the other one that's in loads of audio interfaces. Anyway, but the difference was profound. Andy Mack from Sonic, he listened to some of them as well, and we were really surprised just how different they sounded. So it got me thinking about how those decisions in the converter industry actually take place. You know, how those frequency maps, how they make those decisions. You know, and I guess with the mass markety kind of thing, they're looking for like a general purpose one. I know that with the Burr converters, they typically tune those converters to give them a very analog quality.
Right.
The way that Apogee work typically open up a lot of top end, don't they? So people,
they've got a bit of a smiley kind of vibe going on with that. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Anyway, I should probably, time has marched on. I should probably just have a little word from our friends over at Isotope, who incidentally make ozone, which is the smell that you would have been smelling in the bunker. Fun fact, folks.
Isotope Producers Club is a one-of-a-kind membership for producers ready to take their tracks to the next level. Once you join, you'll gain access to powerhouse Isotope plugins and a curated selection of tools from our partners, such as Melodyne from Celemony. Plus, as long as you're a member, you'll get every future update to the Isotope plugins in your membership for no extra cost. We'll also regularly serve you new curated content like exclusive inspiration-sparking sample packs and preset packs, and industry-leading training ranging from our own tutorials to vocal production lessons from the world-renowned Berklee Online, taught by Grammy-winning producer and engineer Prince Charles Alexander. With new content being added every month full of valuable production techniques, tips and tricks, and solutions to common production problems, becoming a member is an investment in your career that grows as you and your career do. For more information on Isotope Producers Club, head to isotope.com.
And of course, they do two flavors of this. Actually, there's the Music Production Suite Pro, which doesn't have the Pro RX in it because you may not need that, but it's slightly less expensive. But if you're looking to save yourself 10% on any other Isotope products, not subscription, sadly, head over to isotope.com/sonictalk. And use the code SONIC10 at checkout. Saves 10% on any Isotope plugin or bundle as well. So anyway, thank you very much to them for support of the show. We did have, what are we? Gosh, I'm lost now. We look like a good system. Oh yeah, well, while we were talking about converters, I don't know if this might affect this, but I thought I'd throw this one because we don't normally cover 500 system stuff. But
this is 500 R8.
500 rack system,
500 series rack,
audio
USB
interface.
Audio interface, analog summing mixer, monitor controller, and zero latency artist mixer built in to a 4U chassis. We call it a studio in a box. 500 R8 is the perfect way to integrate your favorite 500 series modules directly into your DAW-based workflow. When you are recording, connect 500 R8 to your computer via USB, install your favorite 500 series mic preamps, set the module source switches to analog, and now...
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of details and effects. It's about 1,600 quid, which doesn't seem, considering where it's aimed at, so it's 24, USB 2, 24-bit 192K. It can work as an analog summing mixer, but also you can stick your System 500 modules in there and have them in part of the, in the path or some through them. It just looked like a really elegant system. I mean, I guess it's getting up to the sort of price of high-end RME stuff or, a bit of Beyond or Apollo or whatever, or Universal Audio. But it seems like a very specific thing. And if you've already got some System 500, this looks really interesting. I don't know, Rich, whether you've come across this stuff before, but I'm really into the idea of audio interfaces that also work as mixers. I think that integration is absolutely brilliant, and I think it works fantastic. I don't know if you've come across this before, but it looks kind of pretty cool.
Well, I've come across various things before, but I've never come across one of these that did this particular set of things, which is pretty remarkable, and I'm blown away by this thing as a product and as an idea. Now, how much does it cost? I didn't look. I didn't get an idea.
About £1,600, so that's going to be about 2,000 US. So it's not. I mean, it's in the when you're talking System 500 stuff. That's not bad.
That's very reasonable.
Yeah.
That's very reasonable because just buying the rack without all that stuff will cost you most of that.
Yeah,
you're getting all of those features for a very, very small difference between what that costs and a decent 500 series rack costs. I remember spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,200 at least, $1,300
just on the power supply
maybe. And just on the rack and the power supply. So to have all of that capability coming in and out digitally and being able to process it inside the box and with those amazing modules, it's to me, at least in my experience, a groundbreaking product to the extent no single thing it does is groundbreaking, but having all of that in one convenient little box is, to me, I hate to use this word because it's overused. But
Game
I
changing?
think it's really a unique product. Yeah. No, groundbreaking is just as good as game
That's
changing.
good. I think.
But I've never seen one before, so there really is nothing like it. There are things that do various aspects of what it does, but I've never seen this package of features in one box like that.
Yeah, well, you can also link them together using, they've got a Cat5 link somehow, which I think it enables you to daisy chain, so you could have multiple. I'm not quite sure how it works exactly, but you've got a ton of stuff going on here. Dominic, have I seen some System 500 stuff in your space?
No, but I think you're going to now. I've managed to avoid it. It's the crack. It's like modular, and I mean it's such a beautiful thing, isn't it? I love the idea of going. Well, it's basically you can walk into the studio with your own little lovely rack of stuff. And I really don't need it. I don't really go that much to studios, particularly with lockdown. But even, in general, I'm working out of here. But it's so lovely, and having that kind of with everything built in, it really is the modular crack of studio engineering world, being able to carry your own stuff around. And I was amazed. I looked at the price, and you can buy it fully loaded with. They make. Well, a bunch of stuff actually, but in particular they're mic preamps and stuff, and fully loaded with mic preamps. If you did want their mic preamps, it's not a huge amount more. It's very, very affordable and would appear to be super quality. And it's always been the barrier to entry, really. Actually, because Neve make their own racks, and by the time you've spent on that, that's without filling it up. The things aren't. They're not cheap, but they're basically, what am I trying to say? Yes, I don't have anything here. I'd absolutely love one. And this is the thing that might tip me over the edge, to be honest. But I have absolutely zero justification for owning something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for those perhaps aren't familiar with System 500 stuff, often it's like a smaller format rack unit where you would get like preamps, EQs, like, most of the big manufacturers, AMS, Neve, SSL, Focusrite. I don't know if Focusrite make 500, but lots of make 500. And what you would do is you bring the API, I think they do as well. So you would bring, a producer would often bring a couple of 500 racks, which are, into a studio, and that would be their processing chain for mastering or whatever. And people use them live, but they're very much thought of as a pro. They're a balance system. So, but you can pay. You think modular cases are expensive? You can pay such a large amount. This looks. Yeah. I forget. I wish I could credit, because somebody did mention this on Facebook, and they said you should check this out. And I do forget. I apologise for not remembering who was it who brought it up. But it's a really interesting little unit, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, mouthwatering. What a brilliant design. And the price of entry into 500 rack is cheaper than it's ever been before. I mean, there's a really affordable Midas range, which I guess is part of the Behringer thing. But the Midas, there's a bunch of Midas modules and a Midas rack. What's it called? The Legend, I think it's called. And you get like the 6 or the 10 for about 150, 200 quid for the Midas rack. And the Midas modules are around 150 or so, or even less for the modules. So you can get like a full kind of 500 series for less than 500 quid, with a full kind of channel strip of a compressor, EQ, and mic pre.
I'm just looking at these.
And they look really nice, actually. So
EQs and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's affordable. I mean, it's only a single channel, but I'm just trying to see if there's any other related products. Yeah, so there's all. Yeah, and Midas stuff does sound good, as we know.
Yeah, well, I mean the case. See if you can find the case. I think it's called the Legend. It's a really nice design case, and I was really very tempted to go that way. I'm sort of glad I didn't, because
here we go. Yeah, there we go.
It's expensive. That's the rack one. And I mean, this is super affordable stuff. So because it is an API created this format, didn't they?
I think you might be right. Yeah.
And one thing that's quite interesting on my Eurorack show on Monday, I was messing around with the Eventide Euro DDL, which is their Eventide's first Eurorack module. That module is also available in a sort of slightly different format, but the same essential guts as a 500 series module as well. And so as well as your typical compressors, EQs, and the like in 500 series. A bunch of companies are starting to make a little bit more interesting sort of digital signal processors. And Meris, for instance, who've made a great name for themselves in the guitar effects line, they've got some kind of pretty cool effects processors in 500 series now as well. So this particular
just right. It's like VHS Betamax, isn't it? We'll be getting modular system 500 stuff. Oh no, another one.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the way that they bring all of it together in this particular product is just amazing. And the fact that you could create such custom, I mean, if you can afford it, signal paths. There's some lovely Chandler 500 series modules in there, and putting all that into a little portable rack unit and a laptop, and God, yeah, that's an incredible. Yeah,
it does look very nice. So there's one, and this has got a monitor controller and a couple of headphone outputs as well. But there's the bottom. You can see across the bottom there. There's the sort of summing mixer which you can use. Which a summing mixer on its own right is not an inconsiderable amount of money, and you get that as well as the audio interface. It almost seems too good to be true in some ways, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, really impressed.
Yeah,
What's the name of the company again?
Cranbourne Audio. I don't know whether they're from Cranbourne, which is I think in Dorset, but I don't know if that's the case or not. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to throw that one in there. I finally got round to talking about that one. That's good. Let's see. Well, gosh, it's 10-2. What's the? I've got that. Well, I've got one more here. Let's just throw this one up. This is kind of out of date because it was used to promote an event that's been and gone. But
let me ask you a question. What's the greatest musical
instrument? This guy is so compelling
ever
to
invented?
watch.
Well, whatever you just thought of, you can forget it, because today we're talking about the noble slide whistle. Too long has this been considered an instrument of ridicule. Too long has it been considered unplayable. Which is why I've now invented the auto-tune slide whistle. It bears a strong resemblance to the original.
So he goes on, basically what he's done is he's built this Arduino-based quantized with pitch quantized, and he just goes into all the detail about how he's midified the slide whistle. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit like, doing that thing where, I mean, he does it just because he can, and he's obviously a very smart guy, and he's talking about coefficients and algorithms and stuff. Tim Alex Jacob, a.k.a. Mitxela, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's the guy. If I post this, I'll post this link here actually because it might lead you to his YouTube channel. I just thought it's brilliant, and it is one of those things. I mean, it's like I do sometimes. I kind of think of things that Raspberry Pis can do and just do it because I want to find out. And I'm going to come to you, Dom, because I know you have the same sort of coding inquisitive mind.
That stuff. Yeah. But this guy's on another level. I mean, he drops these things into the videos like, this is really clever, and then you see how he's done it, and he's 3D printed stuff, and then he'll just drop in the thing. I spent 3 days just testing because they weren't quite in tune with each other. So I've plotted these graphs, and I had 500 different runs of this thing.
Data points.
And he's literally data points. He's plotted the coefficients of this, and you just see how much time he's put into these things. It's just absolutely brilliant. I think he's got quite a few followers on Patreon now. I hope so, because there was a thing at the end saying, you can follow me and let me do this stuff. But he really is. I mean, I would trust an airplane if he built it. Do you know what I mean? His attention to detail and the way he does things is really proper. Whereas me, I would just have like wires hanging off of an Arduino, and it would kind of vaguely work, but it wouldn't be in a box, and it wouldn't last very long. And then I'd probably get bored because it sort of didn't quite work very well enough in the end, and I'd go off and do something else. He's just like, right, I'm going to make this whistle work, and it's going to take me 3 months, and I've done my Asana project plan, and off I go. And these are do you know what I mean? It's just amazing. Absolutely.
He gets
amazing.
good numbers. He gets good numbers. So good. His slide whistle has 112,000 views. So that's good, and he's getting there. That's great.
He should do.
Brilliant.
Exactly,
brilliant to watch. Absolutely brilliant. And guys, I'm guessing this. I suppose the thing is it feels like it's that sort of classic British, slightly mad boffin. He's that guy, and I think it's just to be celebrated. Oh. I've got one of those. I wonder if I can find mine.
do a duet. Yeah.
Let me see.
You're
Shake
finding
it.
the pitch.
I have got one somewhere, but I wonder if I've got time. I've got time to do this. I'm not sure. Feel free if I go and have a look. Maybe Gaz, you can introduce.
Yeah, take over.
Your views, and then Rich can tell us how he feels about it.
Well, I mean, the design of this. I mean, to get that to play in pitch. I mean, it's hard. They're stiff, aren't they? They're really hard to play. Oh, you got one.
Oh,
I've got an ocarina.
Ocarina.
oh, lovely. It's the clangers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. We'll get copyright struck.
Yeah. Anyway,
Have you used that on anything recently? It was very close at hand there, guys.
Yes, I have actually. I actually that through a spring reverb I've used recently, and sounds really good.
Oh, nice.
Just that's just sort of. Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't find mine. I think mine's at home. But Rich, did you just bring? Oh, you've got. What is that? A slide whistle? What's that?
It's an ocarina.
Ah, pocket ocarina. The best I could do. I think my slide whistle's at home. I've got. I've just got one of those. That's the best I could do.
You win. So the sound of that through a 500 rack would be awesome.
Well,
There you go.
I've got a little
Tie
box
it in,
of.
Dom.
I've got a little box of toys. I've got a little box of toys because I used to do. I did a CD-ROM which it was like cartoon-based kids product, and I basically bought a load of kind of things to make silly noises. Of this was one. Yeah.
Do you know these ones? Vibratones.
Oh, that's like one of those glass
nice.
things. That's nice. Yeah.
That's nice.
So you have to
really
tune the
good
entire
tone.
band to it.
Yeah.
I'll have some of what he's having.
These things. I'm not gonna get my feet out, but you put these on your feet, and they're like. I got one a shaker and one as a tambourine. So yeah, do some sort of like kind of Morris dancing.
They stop you from catching birds in the garden, right?
And yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's good. No, that looks good.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's
look at
kind of
that.
pretty cool. Yeah, it's sort of. I got tons of little gadgets and doobies for making
Yeah,
noises.
I have
but,
somewhere, but I just I found the box. I've got some. Yeah, that always like to pick those up. I remember the things that I used to really like. I used to bring them back from Nam. Those kind of they're like egg shakers on the end of sticks, and I used to bring them back for my daughter when she was really little because she liked the sound they make.
Nice.
Very enjoyable. Anyway, that feels like a sort of suitably and finally type topic to end on. That was great. So thank you very much for everybody. That would Sonic Talk 655. Oh yeah, I didn't see any ideas for 666, which is next week. I don't know quite what theme I could do. Have you got
not
one?
demonic,
horns
but
of a
I am
pitchfork?
Dominic.
Sorry, horns of a pitchfork.
Ah, very good.
Okay, like a tuning fork, a tuning pitchfork, maybe. Yeah. Well, I did think about that, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for cosplay.
Oh yes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Has any company ever used 666 as a product, as a product sort of
Must
name?
have done. I can't think who it is. Yeah, that's an
think any.
interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but that's we can ponder that in the week we've got before the next show, and I'll try and come up with something at least marginally entertaining. If not, it'll just be hopefully there'll be some news, and that'll be good. But yeah, an achievement. Thank you for everybody who's helped get us to 666. It's an astonishing thing, really. So thank you very much. What was I going to say? I've forgotten. I've absolutely forgotten.
How's my Twitter following?
Your let's have a live update on the Mr. Wiggly Twitter follower.
I joined up.
Let's see.
Oh, thank you.
56.
Yeah, of course.
That's pretty good. I'd say that's a
Excellent.
result. That almost makes
Thank
it
you very
worthwhile.
much, everyone who's joined. Yeah,
Excellent.
Could have been very embarrassing, but it's actually turned out really cool.
Jason Moyer says Apple's first computer cost $666. I don't know if that's true or not. I like to think that it might be, just cause I don't know why, but it's a kind of fun thing. But yes, thank you very much, Rich, for joining us this week. It's been a real pleasure as ever. We'll see you again soon. I certainly hope so. So
looking forward to it. Always
excellent.
Great.
Almost time for barbecues and outside weather. Nearly there here, but
it's time.
Not quite. Yeah, it's time. You've got the spring.
Oh, mine is lit up. I'm expecting parts today for my barbecue.
Barbecue parts. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. What did I order today? I think I just ordered some replacement Bluetooth earbuds, because the only time I found Bluetooth any use whatsoever is for earbuds for listening to audiobooks while I'm asleep or walking to work. And because they're paired, because I don't need to listen to audiobooks in stereo, I just charge them both up and then I use one until it's run out, and then I put the other one in until it's right, so I get double the amount of time of listening. So that's the way that works. Not that I walk for quite that long. That would be like a 15-hour walk, which would probably be beyond my physical capabilities. Anyway, Dom, nice to see you as well.
Thank you very much indeed.
The plugin. Obviously, you would go to mrwiggly.co.uk. Is that the one? Is it? Yes,
it is indeed. Thank you very, very much for allowing me to plug it and for increasing my Twitter following, which is great. I'm really, really chuffed. Thanks for having me on.
We'll use you as a case study for future advertising pitches if you don't mind. Yeah,
I'm there. Definitely.
Excellent. Well, lovely to see you. And also, Mr. Gaz Williams, you got a live show tonight. What are you doing?
Yep. Tonight I'm going to be doing some. I'm going to be doing some sort of song mixy kind of things on tonight's show.
Sounds technical.
Yeah, kind of. It probably won't, and it'll probably go all wrong, but we'll give it a go. But so from 8 p.m. Yeah.
Yep, that's on Gaz Williams, the Gaz Williams Show, which would be, if you search for Gaz Williams on YouTube, I think there is only one. There could only ever be one, really. So
I'm winning the Gaz Williams World War, I think.
Okay. Oh, SEO. The Gaz Williams SEO war. Yeah.
The SEO war.
Excellent. Well, folks, it's been a joy as ever. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you all next time. I'm just going to now press the button that makes it all stop. See ya. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll do a bit of... Okay, bye.